into this is like, what the heck? All right, there we go. Good evening. Welcome to a wonderful Monday night. I do want to thank everybody so much for taking time out of your night to join us. I will say, I will be going on record to say that this is probably the last one of the year. It is probably the last show of the year. I know we're not doing it next Monday, or if it is, John's doing it by himself.
Yeah.
But because there's some kind of day going on, I don't know. Some guy that wears a red suit comes jumping down through the ceiling and like busting,
Scary.
armed robbery or something. Somehow, I don't know. It's weird. But anyway, I digress. But thank you very much for taking time to join us on this Monday night. We definitely appreciate everybody who's joining us, whether it's live or whether it's catching us in that recorded piece. In case you didn't notice, John is not with us tonight, and that is because we want to first off wish him a very happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
It is
Yeah.
John's birthday. That is
That's
not why
awesome.
he's here. But that is a subset of it. So we do want to wish him a happy birthday. He's all of like 85 now. He really holds up really well. The hippie goatee is kind of, starting to show his age, but yeah. For those of you that don't know, we love John. We give him a hard time when he's off camera. I figured since he's not here, it's all fair game
Yeah, he's not going to watch.
then. No, Michael watched because he's got to take tonight's show and then split it all out. But
Ah,
tonight we have Art joining us, Art Armani from the Philadelphia area. For those of you that
hello.
have been watching the show for a while, you may have seen Art a time or two when he's been filling in. And so we said, you know what? You got a Monday night available? Would you be willing to jump in again? He said, absolutely. And then he goes, wait a minute, what are we talking about?
That's right. I like to be
We wanted to know
prepared.
the questions. So tonight's going to be Q&A. So it's going to be Q&A. I will say this, a couple different things. First off, if you are wanting to throw something and he's put it in a chat, if you're on Facebook or any of the million places that we're streaming, the only chat I can see is the YouTube chat. So please head on over to YouTube and make sure you're checking it out. The other thing that I want you to do for me at some point tonight is to go to youtube.com/ at disc jockey. I'm sorry. Let me get the official. Let me get the official because I just totally messed that up. The youtube.com/ the at symbol DJNTV shows. There's the official one. I'm going to drop it into the chat so that everybody can catch that. That is where you need to go and sign yourself up because in the new year, we're going to be doing something a little bit different with the channels, kind of separating them a little bit. Those of you that noticed, Disc Jockey News, we had the newspaper. John had the newspaper and had a bunch of writers for it. And that's where kind of things started with that. And then there was the idea to go into doing videos. And so that's where DJNTV got born. However, Disc Jockey News was always kind of bigger. So when it came to doing these shows, we broadcasted out to Disc Jockey News. Going into the new year, you're going to see kind of a separation of the two, and they're not changing necessarily, but you're going to see our shows coming at you on the DJNTV shows with the at symbol in front. And that's the new thing with YouTube. You have to put the at symbol. And you're going to see some more short type of things, maybe some more gear focused type of discussions, as well as a few other things. And that is going to be on the Disc Jockey News channel. So both of them are going to exist. They're both going to have their own kind of purpose. And there's not going to really be as much overlap as there has been. All right. So again, at some point, please go on over and check that out. Get yourself subscribed if you're not already, because you don't want to miss out. Right. That's pure and simple. You don't want to miss out on what's going on. So, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Take a deep breath.
I'm kidding. So we've got some different topics tonight. I'll be honest, I was trolling around on the internet, much of the Facebook groups, and this is where a lot of these questions came from tonight. And so I've got a list here. We'll get it through as many as we can. But I think it's worth discussing because these are conversations that are obviously out there. Some of them are the ones you get like every 5 minutes. Somebody asks, which is better, PC or Mac? We're not having that kind of discussion tonight. But the first question I have for the two of you is relating to credit cards. All right. So I'm going to assume that everybody here is taking credit cards in some form or fashion, right? If you're not, um, I would kind of question what's going on, right? That should be first and foremost to make it easy for your clients. But when it comes to those credit card processing fees, do you pass it along to your clients, and why or why not? Cubby, let's start with you tonight.
Yeah. Yes, I do pass it along. I let them know that they can pay, check, card, Venmo, which has no fees if, and then, but if they decide to do Square right through my account, there's a 3.5 charge that's added to it. And a lot of them,
3.5,
a
is that
lot
the
of the
percent you're
restaurants,
carrying?
huh?
Is that the percent you're carrying?
No, it's a little higher than the percent I'm carrying.
Okay.
But to make sure it covers the transfer fees, there's like a 15-cent thing in there. There's like some little minimal fees too. So I just make sure I cover it all with 3.5. Kind of like locally, and a lot of our local restaurants are now starting to charge that. So it's becoming more commonplace. But yeah, as a multi-op that does over 350 events a year, I surely do choose to charge the 3.5%. Not mad at a check either
No,
at
no.
all.
No, definitely not. How about you, Art? What's your situation when it comes to credit cards?
I don't. So as a consumer, whenever that started popping up, it's something that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I feel, just me personally, that it's kind of nickel and diming. Also, it's a write-off, right? If you look it up, these fees that are being charged from the credit card processing companies, whether it be Square or PayPal or whatever, those are actually tax deductible, um, straight from the tax attorneys. So technically, you're double dipping, and as far as I look at it, so you're charging a 3.5% fee, but then you're also being able to deduct that. So it's not really double dipping, but it's kind of washes out. So why bother do it? And it leaves a bad taste in customers' mouths. So I just prefer not to have that little bit sitting out there where they may not book you in the future, or they may look at you or treat you differently, because I personally don't like being charged that fee whenever I go out to eat or anywhere. So I wouldn't want to do that to my customers.
And I'm very similar in that kind of mindset, but I'll be honest, I've been starting to question that more and more. And kind of to the point of what Cubby has said is that I've been seeing it more and more at restaurants,
Yeah.
where it's almost like I want to say it's almost commonplace. Like, like the option is still to pay with cash, right? The option is still
Yeah.
to do that to avoid any type of fee associated with it. But in the same respect, I think it kind of depends upon what we're dealing with, and
Mhm.
I kind of use this as kind of a segue here. Mike Walter and has mentioned, I think it was a DJX this year. If it wasn't, it was somewhere recent. The question was kind of posed to him: "What are you doing?" And for his company, he will, for the retainer fee, not charge the extra, because the retainer fee is a smaller amount, and it's not kind of as much of a hit in that aspect, right? To how much money's coming into his pocket.
Mhm.
But then when they do the final payment, either send us a check, or if you pay by credit card, there's going to be a processing fee. And so by doing it in that way, there's no lapse for the retainer fee portion. Like, contract is signed, they pay the retainer fee. You're not waiting on a check to come in the mail just so that they avoid some percentage fee. But then when it's that bigger amount, you're not taking the hit. They've got plenty of time to be able to take care of it.
Yeah.
And then that comes in.
Yeah. I think though, it's like, even in that instance, now you're just making it complicated, because then the customer's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, I got to pay a fee on this, but I don't got to pay a fee on that. Um, I- you know, it sounds confusing. And I would just, maybe, for the advice of everyone, is you should have a CPA and or a tax attorney to go to the official word for. Just me personally, I don't do it.
And that's actually another little piece to kind of like disclaimer here that we should definitely throw out is if you're considering this, make sure you talk to an accountant or somebody in your area, because there for a while there were some areas and some states where you couldn't charge that processing fee. Now you could word it in like a weird way and then it was
Hmm.
okay, but you really kind of had like jump through some hoops for that. um I think more areas have kind of gotten away from that, but make sure you're getting the official word. You don't want to
Yep.
create a problem for yourself because you just didn't know and you accidentally did something you weren't supposed to. And then if they come back and audit you, you're like screwed.
Yeah. So always trust the attorney. And there is a difference. There's CPA and then there's tax attorneys. Um, how do I know? I work for a tax attorney law firm. So there is a big difference. There's something called the employee retention tax credit, which is something that my law firm that I work for is heavily invested in because they're tax attorneys. They're not CPAs. A lot of CPAs out there don't quite understand it. So there are some levels of tax law that a lot of CPAs don't keep up on. So it's always good to know a tax attorney and not just a CPA.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we're gonna pause here. We're just gonna look at it all weird for a moment because then we're gonna give Michael a chance that he'll split up the video afterwards, and we'll be back with our next question. All right, that's been enough time. Okay, so this next one I figure is a great conversation to have for this time of year, and this kind of is more of a personal one than the other one. The other one kind of gives advice, but this one is kind of a personal one. As you look back on this past year, what is one thing that you focused on improving for your business? We'll just kind of start with that, and then we'll do the follow up in a moment. So, what is one thing that you focused on this past year on improving for your business? Art, it's your turn to go first tonight or this week.
Um, the biggest thing that I focused on this year was trying to get my website up to date. I mean, I had looked at my website for the longest time and I built it and kind of stacked on over the years. And the other day I was looking around and I'm like, man, my website is outdated. So literally just this past weekend, I revamped the whole thing. I think that's the biggest thing that I did this year was revamp my website.
That can be a haul right there on its own. That can definitely be a haul. So kudos to you for that one. Cubby, how about you?
Ours was consistency. Consistency between all the systems that we have, consistency between a lot of the DJs that we have. I know we all have different personalities, but as far as worked, doing the same things, but just doing things differently. But just staying consistent in all of our and so that there's not a lot of differences between each of the DJs, but everything's stayed consistent as far as equipment and lighting and packages. They all were the same and stay consistent.
I remember you talking specifically about working on that brand aspect, having a consistent brand. So no matter who went out, they were seeing the same quality of equipment, of gear, of presentation. And I think that's important for any multi-op to really to make sure that their voice is heard, because if they're getting different type of experiences depending upon who they have, um, and I'm not talking personality experiences, I'm talking about the other pieces. Um, that can either speak really well or speak really poorly. And usually, unfortunately, it's not the first. So, all right. So the follow up question then is looking ahead, right? Because we're coming down to the end. I don't want to call us New Year's resolutions here, but as you look into 2024, what is going to be your focus as you move forward? And those of you that are following along in the chat, please drop yours in as well. I'd love to hear what you guys have. Cubby, how about you? What's your focus going forward?
I've been saying this for a couple 3 shows. It's gonna have to be social media, Insta, TikTok, just getting different pictures of getting my DJs to get pictures of all their events and getting them to me. I already got a great pipeline for photographers, and we talked about how I did that through a DJ event planner. which is a great tool if you don't have it. So I get a lot of pictures through my photographer friends due to that. But staying consistent on my social media and TikTok and Insta and all that stuff that you're supposed to do. Not get lax, not take the foot off the brake or off the pedal.
Art, how about you?
Yeah, it's almost like what Cubbie's done over the last year in a sense, streamlining things, making the equipment all aligned. Everybody, each system's exactly the same. Most importantly, not only for brand like consistency out with the client sees quality wise, but for training. It's much easier to train when every single system is the same. So if something breaks, they don't have to learn a new controller or a new photo booth. It's the same all the way across the board. So I think that's what I'm going to be doing starting day one in January.
I have way too many things that I want to do, and I don't think I have enough time to do any of them. Um, my game plan is for those of you that have kind of talked with me on the side, I'm planning on a new a rename for my company. This is something I've kind of battled for a little bit.
But
And despite the fact that I've had DC Entertainment, the name of my
mhm.
company, despite that's been in place since 2001, something like that, 2000, 2001, somewhere in that ballpark. Um, I'm planning on going a different direction. And it's
we
all thanks to DC Comics.
give us a
The
hint.
parent company is
What kind
DC
of
Entertainment.
direction are you? What kind of direction you going?
I
Do you
don't
have?
have it trademarked yet, so I'm going to hold off on that.
Oh,
We'll talk off air. But with that comes new logo, comes new website, comes new
mhm.
making sure all my ducks are in a row, make sure my getting the LLCs taken care of, getting the bank taken care of. Like there's a lot of steps to that.
Mhm.
So that becomes a huge overhaul. And for those of you that watch the show and do that, I plan on kind of documenting some of this and sharing it out so that either A, you can learn from my mistakes, or B, you can learn from my failures, because that's kind of where I feel like it's going to go in some form or fashion. Um, it's a huge, I've been extremely nervous for a while, and I blame my buddy up in Erie, because if it hadn't been for him, I probably never would have even thought about changing my name. But he made an obvious observation about it, and he's like, why is this not your business name?
Yeah.
And no day it's not Dan the Man. There is a DJ Dan, and I'm pretty sure there's another one, Dan the Man. But there was like a famous EDM that was DJ Dan. So I never went by that. Um, but yeah. So I you'll get to experience some of those interesting pieces over the next year as I share them out, and you guys could, like I said, you guys can run with that. But it's huge, because it's going to be a piece. It's going to be a piece. That's about all I can say with that.
It's hard to do any changes midstream. Like even the website, because my website has great SEO on it. I literally threw most of it out the window.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I'm fine with that because I know how to do it. It's not going to take me long to get it back. I just got to rebuild some pages and I'll be fine. But yeah, it was a tough decision. And I had been thinking about it for such a long time. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do it now and just rip the band-aid off and then put some of that, that little cream that magically heals the wound and we'll be good.
Did you see a dip after you did your changeover on your website and stuff or not?
I literally did it over this past weekend.
Oh, okay.
Like
So
in
we
a
haven't
matter
seen
of
any
two
no
days.
results yet. Yeah, okay.
I built it on the back end and then swapped it yesterday. So it'll be a few days before I see what happened. But
And
in the meantime, I'm going back because I saved every single page and I had this tool that I use that crawls your website and tells you what all the title tags and the meta descriptions and everything and the naming convention. And I'm just going to go one by one and just rebuild each page with the exact like content and metadata.
that's awesome.
And when you know what you're doing, you could do that kind
Yeah.
of thing. No, I think that's, it's important. I think it's important, as you go into this new year, you want to call it the downtime. You can't really call it the downtime, but you need to make sure your marketing things are in place, because as we go into this time of year, there's going to be, for those of you doing weddings, there's going to be couples that are looking at your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if your stuff looks old, if your stuff looks not up to date, you're going to get passed for the people that do. Unless you have some other thing like a personal recommendation of somebody that knows what you're capable of, you know, they're going to look at you and they're not going to give you the 2 cents, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not going to give you what you have. So make sure that your stuff is current. And again, the test is, don't show it to other DJs and ask, does this look good? Show it to the people that you would consider your ideal
Yeah.
clients. Maybe
Yeah.
even find a client from this past year that you really connected with. Said, hey, got 5 minutes. I'm doing something. I want your opinion on it.
Mhm.
I won't be offended either way. I value you and the relationship we created as a client. Could you take a couple minutes to do this? And I think most of your couples, if you've developed any type of relationship like that, would do it in a heartbeat. Would absolutely do it in a heartbeat. So,
Yeah, that's great advice. Absolutely.
all right.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to pause here for a second and we'll be right back.
But we're still live.
All right. We're moving on. All right. So this one's kind of an interesting one. So I think all three of us would definitely agree 100% that we need to have a backup for our equipment, right? Like I would be willing to bet, from knowing the quality of guys that I'm talking with, that you have a backup speaker, maybe speakers,
Mhm.
lighting,
Mhm.
controller, computer, or at least music playback of some sort. Like, you've got those backups.
Yep.
What about if your vehicle goes down? What's your plan when your vehicle goes down?
I think Cubby's probably got this one knocking out of the park. No pun intended.
Ah, yeah. I'd love to
I
tell
mean,
you that I I'd
you
love
got it.
I'd love to say that I do. It's never happened to me, knock on wood. But if something was to happen, I have two daughters that have SUVs. I'd literally call them and tell me to come get me and load them out. Or if it's something happens to one of my DJs, once again,
Mhm.
get out there quickly, and then I would call AAA or whatever it took to get the other car vehicle, which I do have AAA. If you don't have it, I suggest doing it. It's just like type of an insurance type thing. But yeah, I'd have one of my two daughters with the SUVs come out, and we just swap equipment from one to the other. They'd see with the disabled vehicle, and the DJ would go on. I've been thinking about this since you sent some of the questions this morning. Actually prepared this time.
Oh,
But that's what I would do.
this was a
Art?
topic this was a topic that came up in another discussion. I was like, so cool that you brought this up. I'm like, I'm prepared for this one too. There's a couple cool ideas that came across my desk. One of which was kind of like AAA, have your van towed to the event, right?
Oh,
Just tow the whole freaking thing, and then have it towed home. If you got a wedding that's like, the once in a lifetime event that they're never going to be able to get back, and you need to get there. And I don't have daughters that have cars. Like, I've got one other car, and that's my wife's, and my equipment's not going to fit in it. So towing it, my whole vehicle to the event. That's one. The other one somebody mentioned to me was Uber XL. Like,
oh,
yeah, just Uber it up, get two Ubers, whatever you need to do, and get that equipment to the venue. And same thing at the end of the night. And suck it up on the payments. It's better than having a pissed off client and having to give a refund.
right,
I
those
didn't
are
know about
great.
Uber XL. I think that somebody else, Eric, just dropped that in the chat, just almost about the same time that you were mentioning it. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool feature. And if not, like you said, get two, get three, whatever you need to do to get them there. Um, depending upon also when you're leaving for your event, right? I think kind of depends upon what kind of flexibility you have. If you're the type of person who's going to get there, set up, and got enough time to basically take a drink of water and then you're playing, you can't wait
Yeah.
for AAA to show up. You can't wait for the tow truck to decide to get to you. And I say it that way because I've had some friends who have locked their keys in their car
Mhm.
and had to wait 45 minutes to an hour for them to show up. And they weren't going anywhere as a DJ. They weren't doing anything. They were just being, careless. I won't say careless, accidental, and locked their keys in.
Yeah.
If you were trying to get to an event, that's going to be some panic mode. And and maybe you can try and talk him into like, listen, I'll whatever the fee is, double it, I'll pay it, just get here now. And they might do it. But yeah, Uber XL would be one place to go. U-Haul was another one that was mentioned.
If they're open.
Finding U-Haul and getting on with them. I would say a lot of them are open more frequent than we think. I know the one by me is open 365, which was kind of a surprise. I thought, oh, they're closed on Christmas. Nope,
Yeah.
they're open Christmas.
What about car rental places like Enterprise? Like that might be open too. That could be an
Yeah.
option.
And they say Enterprise say they bring it to you. I mean,
Oh
I've
wow.
seen those commercials. Have you seen those commercials? Enterprise will come to you.
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
pretty cool.
know
That's
if,
good to
if it's
know.
an area thing or not. But Art, I thought you had two great ideas that never even once crossed my mind. So, but now they're in there. So if some shit goes down, I'm ready.
Extra ammunition.
Yeah.
But
We've
Dan,
got to be prepared, right? Because I mean, we're prepared for equipment and things can happen, but things can happen to our vehicle. And with that, I would also say make sure, to kind of reduce those opportunities, make sure that you're up to date on your services. You
yeah,
know, the new vehicles have synthetic oil, right? And so they're supposed to be able to go longer. But I had a mechanic tell me, like, you still want to change it like every 3 to 5. Don't, even though he says it can go 75 or 10,000, 3 to 5, get it changed. Yeah, it costs a little bit more, but you don't have to worry about that. Make sure your brakes are up to date. Make sure your tires are, not right there close to that threshold. Making sure those kind of things are in place will reduce, not eliminate, reduce the possibility of some mistakes down the road or accidents that could deter you. And I don't mean like accident, but like problems. There we go. Problems that will deter you. So
yeah. And I do that twice a year. So right before winter starts, we do have a winter somewhere in Pennsylvania. I'll take my car to the mechanic, my guy. I said, he knows what's happening because I do it every year or every 6 months. And I said, I need to know what's wrong with the car. Let's get it fixed. And so and then right before summer, same thing. What's wrong with the car? Get it fixed. To try to eliminate the possibility of that happening.
And
well,
I
and
think
then
there's
with a lot of
indicate.
the vehicles and the plug-in stuff that they can do, they can diagnose stuff that you're not recognizing.
Mhm.
Um, so you want to make sure it's a mechanic you trust, so they're not finding stuff that's not really there.
Yeah.
But Kevin, you started to say something. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some indications too as you're driving the day before. If you start hearing some weird noises or knocks or something that's just not, normal in a couple of days leading up to your event or the day you may needing your car for event. I don't think sometimes I've never had anything happen to me where I was not where I just just happened. Unless it was a flat tire or something, and which we can't always avoid those. But I think it's
Yeah.
something internally with your engine. I think you're gonna hear it like a few days before your event. I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
And I think for those of you that are trailer people, do you have a spare for your trailer? That's a very valid question because not all trailers automatically come with one.
Nope.
So you might have a spare for your towing vehicle, but do you have it for the trailer that you have behind you? So definitely make sure that you do that. And while we're talking about things, in case you didn't see my short from it was last week, I've got two winter tools that you need to go check out. Two things that you need to make sure going into winter months that you have. I'm not going to tell you what they are. You got to go see the short. Um, but yeah, all
You're
right.
good.
Yeah, I figured. All right, so let's go and pause for a second, and we'll be back with our next one. All right, that should be good enough. All right, so music. Music became a question, and I think that this piece I want to ask kind of goes in two directions here. The first question is where when you download your music from whatever pool service that you tend to use. I'm a promo only guy. I love Glenn. I love Nick, and they treat me very, very well. And by the way, little plug, go check out the new ILM. If you've got promo only and you're not doing that to download the one-off type of situations, you're missing out. All right. Go don't do it this second because we're doing our show. But you can download them much cheaper than you could for Amazon. The little disclaimer, you're not gonna find everything, but you're going to find a ton of stuff. They worked out a deal with a company over in the UK that has like this huge library. So anytime I'm looking for something that I don't have already, I go there, and if you buy this stuff in packs, and then it's cheaper. You know what? I'm going to do a video on this. All right, we'll move on. So the question is, when you download the stuff, you download it straight to your DJ computer, or do you put it on a computer and then transfer it at some point to your DJ computer? Which
Who's
method
first?
do you do first?
I have a dedicated computer that is strictly for downloading. My DJ laptop doesn't touch the internet unless I'm
Okay.
doing updates. That's it.
Okay. Cubbie, how about you?
Same as Art. We have a service computer that we download and update DJs' laptops every 2 weeks, and our DJ laptops do not touch the internet. There's spares. They can use their personal laptop to touch the internet, but the DJ laptops do not touch the internet whatsoever.
You guys are missing out. No, I'm teasing on that part. I'm not as strict when it comes to my DJ computer. I don't take it on the internet, but I have taken it on the internet when I've been in a situation. There was a couple times where I got to an event and something went screwy. I got it on. I got what I needed, but I knew the site that I was going to. I knew it was reputable. I knew there wasn't going to be any issues. And it was just to gather some quick information and then get off. But so with that piece, since you are downloading to a separate computer, Cubby, you kind of already addressed this. How often do you take it from your downloading computer to update on your DJ computer?
2 weeks, every 2 weeks.
Okay. Art, how about you?
Oh, I'm not that good. I've gone a couple months, to be honest with you. So it's sporadic. It's as needed. And when I can get down into my lab down here and actually get it done.
For me, it kind of depends upon the event that I'm doing. Right. So for example, if I've got a school dance coming up, I'm getting it updated the day before.
Yeah.
Like if something came out overnight or something was downloaded on Wednesday and the dance is on Friday, then Thursday I'm like making sure everything's ready to go. And I've not even been, there's been Fridays I've done it before. You know what I mean? Like right there, a couple hours before the event, I've been uploading or moving it over. When it's weddings, there's not as much of a push to play the hottest brand new track.
No, they
You'll
look
get
at
some
like,
couples that maybe want some of that kind of thing. And for those, I think, again, you'd be in that situation of, oh, I know that's the type of person or that's the type of stuff they want. I'm going to make sure I'm updated. But if they're not talking about that, you're not usually breaking brand new tracks. And when I mean brand new, I mean like less than 2 weeks, right? Unless something just came out of left field. That's just not going to happen. So I like what you're doing. I like the ideas. I'm very much like Art, though. I've gone months, especially during those winter times where I don't really necessarily have an event. Did it get updated? Nope. Did I download it? Sometimes. Like that's the other part. Like I don't always download every like week. There's been a couple times where I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I scroll back in my history, go, man, how far back do I have to go to finally get to where I didn't download? But I think that's something to get yourself in the habit. Cubby, how do you determine? You said like every 2 weeks. Is there some sort of reminder you set to make sure that you're more structured like that?
Yeah,
Or
this goes back to the whole consistency thing because we used to do it that way. Hey, just update your laptop when you got a minute, bring it over, type thing. And it was with the consistency where like one guy would have music and the other guy wouldn't have music. So running in a I want to make sure that all my guys have the same thing every other Monday, drop off your computers. Every other Wednesday, we have them all done, pick up, do whatever. And that way we have all that time to update them, and it changed. Like we're always forever changing like some of our playlists or crates, whatever you want to call them, updating them. We might find something cooler and come up with something like a new dinner music or something. Always trying to stay fresh, not playing the same dinner cocktail music every show. So like I said, that went with the consistency, that theme that we went to this year, and we just try to stick with it. And it's worked. Nobody's, a couple of people bitching like, oh man, I got things to do on this Monday. I get it. Give me 10 minutes, run it over 15 minutes. But just went with the whole consistency thing.
And I think that's
That's
key. I
awesome.
think exactly as you said, the more consistent you are with that, it helps. It helps. Like the reason why Art and I can get away with it is because if we don't have the music, then it's on us, right?
Yep.
It's our fault as to why that happens. Um, but you know, it does give you a reason to kind of stay up on something. Okay. All right. So we're gonna move on from that. We'll be back with our next one here in just a moment. Okay, good enough. And if that's not good enough for Michael, sorry, Michael. Whatever. But anyway, so here's this next one I thought we'd have a little fun with because I've been receiving a few more scams lately. And I don't know if it's just if they're ramped up, if people are being more devious to DJs, or if it's just like we're hearing about it more. I don't know what happens to be the case, but I was curious. What is the favorite scam that you have received?
I have to go third on this one because I don't get a whole lot of them.
Oh.
And I
All
don't know if
right.
it's a Middle West thing. I don't know if it's an Iowa thing or not, but
I didn't think we were going to get to this question, honestly. You had a long list of stuff.
I did. But we've been pounding through them here pretty quick. So
Well, on Facebook, right? It's been happening like wildfire. My Facebook business page is getting this message saying it's violating some trademark or something, and your page is going to be deleted. Please click this link. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to hijack my business page. For what reason, I have no idea, other than probably spam some more crap out there. But that's the one where they're trying to hack your Facebook business page by making you think that there's some kind of trademark or copyright infringement.
so that is one that Disc Jockey News gets a lot on their Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first time it happened, because I get the notifications. But so the first time it happened, I sent John a message just to be like, "Hey, pretty sure this is a scam." Like I didn't even all it was just I just saw the notification. I didn't even like go deeper to see the whole message. But I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "I'm pretty sure this is a scam. Got this. Just wanted to make sure you're aware of it because there's been times where I've seen something and for whatever reason he doesn't, and so
Yeah.
I just want to make sure he didn't miss it if it was legit in some form or fashion." And he wrote back and he says, "Yeah, it's a scam." He's like, he gets them all the time. And then it's like we're getting them like every
Every
day.
day or 2 or 3 times a day.
Exactly. And it's like, yeah, from different people, all kind of with the same message, but different
Uh-huh.
people. And I'm like, yeah, that it's not gonna work. So if you're getting something that says your page is violation, first off, the really good ones. And what I mean by the really good ones, the really good scammers are going to make it look like it comes from Facebook
Yeah.
or Meta or whatever you want to think. Um, But if they're from some random name on there, it's a scam. It's
I,
straight up a scam. And
I,
even if they make it look like Facebook, it's probably still a scam because they're not going to address that way with
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I'm laughing hard because remember I was going to say my focus this year is be better on social medias. I'm not getting those messages, so I must not be something somebody wants to hack. I don't know.
Coming to
Well,
Um,
Messenger
once you
near
start getting
you.
active on social media, that's when you're going to get them.
well, I
Yeah.
also
I
have
keep
a
getting ads for we're looking for somebody be like TripAdvisor or something like that. That's the one that
Good
I keep
word.
getting, and I'm like, whatever. I don't know if it's an ad or if it's a scam. Either way, I'm not
Yeah.
interested in it. But
I
I got to say that my favorite scam, and this actually just happened. It was like 2 weeks ago. And keep in mind, this is not DJ related at all, right? So we're used to like the Nigerian Prince emails, right? I'm just going to call them that because once I mention that, most everybody's familiar with that. I got a letter, a physical letter in the mail
oh
Wow.
that was from from a lawyer in Canada from
Not
a
even.
gentleman, Henry Carpenter, in the UK, who had passed away 9 years ago. And it was like 9 million something dollars that they're trying to get to a descendant. And so, because I had the same last name, I must be a descendant. But what baffled me was it was an actual physical letter.
I think mail's
Like, I
coming
was
back.
just like, I don't know if they're just like, you know what? we're not getting anywhere with these emails. People know they're fake, so let's start doing real
Mhm.
mail.
Yeah.
Um, I was I was just flabbergasted. I was, because it also like, even like, to, obviously they got my name and address from somewhere, who knows where, whatever. Um, and then they like matched the last name so that it made it sound like it was whatever. And I was just like, wow, wow.
I remember the text messages like, "Hey, you got an event," and then they give you the address and the date, and the date's like on a Tuesday for a wedding, and
Mhm.
then you look at the address, and it's a house,
House.
and
Yeah.
they want to give you the money, and you pay off the caterer, or you pay off the photographer or something. Those are always fun to play with if I got time. But if I the Facebook ones, I've got an autoresponder on my Facebook Messenger that says, "Hey, look, I don't check this all the time. If you need a direct response, email
Yeah.
me at." So again, I don't know why I'm not getting them, but I'm not seeing them.
You might be getting them. They're kind of like they're in the if you go on Facebook, there's an unread section. Do you ever look at that?
Oh shit, no.
They might be sitting in there. You probably are getting them.
Yeah, I guess
Don't
I have
feel,
to go
don't feel
look
like you're
now.
left out. You're
Yeah,
probably
because
welcome to the party.
I do see when messages come across, and I'll glance at them. But with my autoresponder, I know I'm going to get an email within 30 minutes because they'll
Yeah.
reply via email. Um, and again, I just don't have time to check Facebook Messenger all the time for my company.
Well, I think it would still get you. I mean, depending on how you've set it up, like I get the notifications not from Messenger, but I get in the bell notification on my personal page, I get that I got a message
Mm-hmm.
through my business page. So
Yeah.
I'll get that notification, and that's usually where I see it, and that's about where I ignore it. Because I'm not going to work for TripAdvisor, and John's smart enough not to violate any copyright rules with Facebook to get him kicked out. So, yeah, but it just baffles me. It just baffles me that there's got to be DJs out there that are falling for this stuff.
Yeah, they wouldn't keep doing it unless there was. I mean, it's a law of averages. You
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
keep going that funnel, and eventually someone's falling for it, and they're making a couple bucks here and there. It's just volume.
yeah, yeah. Um, Dave brings up a good question. This is unrelated, but it's related. So let's go ahead and take that one now, and that might bring us to the end. So this is one they didn't prepare for, so I'm putting them on the spot here. It says, do clients actually use Facebook Messenger anymore? How many couples do you get through Facebook? So Cubbie, it's kind of indirect, right? Because you've got the auto messenger that sends them to your email, but how many of them can you actually trace have touched on your Facebook?
I would have to say realistically, maybe get 3 a month. Like you oughta, reach out to somebody at Select Entertainment, or they were a great DJ, did my wedding or whatever. And then or like we have where I'm from, we have like these wedding groups, like wedding vendor groups, and like, hey, I'm looking
Yeah.
for a DJ. And so somebody will tag me in there, then they go to your Facebook page and they send you a message. But realistically, you're right, it's not prominent, but I maybe get 3 to 4 a month tops. And that's basically off somebody in a group saying, "Hey, look at this company." Because people like, "I need a DJ for such and such a date,"
Mhm.
and they'll tag me through there, and then they'll send a message.
I'm seeing
Art,
about the
how about
same.
you?
Yeah, I'm seeing about the same. Probably a little less, probably like 2 a month. And it is the same thing. It's either somebody who had recommended you on a Facebook group or a friend who had referred you privately, and so they're just on Facebook and they reached out. That's the preference of communicating, but not a whole lot. Not a whole lot.
Yeah, I'm likewise. I'm not getting a whole lot. I don't have anybody that suddenly found me on Facebook. Like I think
Mhm.
that's why some of us, there's been some of us that are kind of like, well, I'm not gonna invest any time on Facebook and having a business page on Facebook or whatever. And I do understand, right? Like the clients are not necessarily reaching out that way because they found you that way. They're
Mhm.
reaching out because of a Facebook group, of an
Yeah.
easier way for somebody to tag. Like Instagram doesn't have those groups like that.
Yeah.
They somebody could make a post that's kind of tied to a picture, and somebody could see it and make the reference, and there's been that. And I've got one or two that way through Instagram. But I feel like that way of tagging of a recommendation comes easier from Facebook.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
What's interesting though, it's like there seems to be do I do this or do I do this? Do I do Google SEO or do I do Facebook or do I Instagram? The answer really is you should be doing all of them because every single person has a preference of the way that they communicate, whether it be texting, whether it be phone calls, whether it be email. Every different person has a different platform they prefer to look up for services and communicate on. So you never know who's going to be on Facebook. You could have gotten a huge event off of Facebook. You may have gotten one off of Instagram. You may get one from Google Ads or SEO. You don't know where they're going to come from. So the term that I always use is it's stealing from the financial world is a balanced investment portfolio. It's a balanced marketing portfolio, right? You got to kind of hedge your bets on all of them. You can't cover them all at the same time with as much effort as you'd like to, but you should be doing throughout the year a little bit on each one.
I'm going to contradict that just a little bit. And here's my thought on, yes, you need to cover them all. But I think there's such a way of investing the right amount of time and money
Yeah.
into the best ROI. But to get that, you really got to know where your ideal client is. Where, when you have that ideal client, and the ideal client cannot be the person who's going to send me the biggest paycheck. You got to be a lot deeper than that. A lot deeper than that, really. Mikey Mike mentions that basically all of his clients are coming through Facebook. I don't know if there's ideal, but those are where he's getting a lot of his events. So to him to continue on with that makes sense to really spend majority of his time in Facebook. The idea of you spend 20% of your clients spend 80%, bring in 80% of your income or something like that. There's like an 80-20 rule, like the way that works. So you want to make sure you're putting your money into the place where you're going to get that biggest bang for the buck. So it does take time to kind of spread the wealth until you figure out where that's coming from. And then you don't cut off the other pieces.
Yeah, I agree.
You just nurture, that section where those clients are a little bit more.
Yeah,
and I
I
think
agree with
that's
you.
going to help you.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. And that is that's a layer of it. So the idea is to cover your bases and then put more effort into what you said, the ones that are giving more ROI, but don't discount the ones that aren't yet, because you never know when it's going to shift. You never know when a whale might come from one of the other platforms.
And I just got hit one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought that you were talking the whale, and all of a sudden I realized what you meant. You just got to do something with one of them. I got it. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at you, Art, when you were talking. I happened to be reading the chat, and Eric's comment I get most of my clients with my OnlyFans page.
You too?
No, not me. That's what Eric said.
Me as well.
Oh, yeah. They pay you to keep the clothes on.
Yes, they do.
No, I think that's great. And there's going to be a lot of ways to look at this. Things can come from a lot of different directions. And it also is encouraging, or it should be encouraging, to kind of leave your door open for some money that you don't know might come. And I'm going to use this example as we get close to wrapping this up. Like I had some corporate clients this month that I've never worked with before. I've had a distinct pleasure of being very lucky to have been at a wedding where the owner was at and liked what I did, and that led to an event. But they were able to kind of do some quick background check on me too. And some of our corporate clients they might be on Instagram, they might be on TikTok, they might be on, all these other social media platforms. But some of your older, I don't want to say older, but some of your corporate clients are going to turn to probably Facebook to look you up, if they're not already doing so on LinkedIn or something like that. So, having those places can really help pull that back around, for maybe some new money, or kind of breaking your business up, like in maybe this social media, because this is where your couples are really coming from. You really focus on the wedding side when you're promoting your business, and over here you get more corporate, So you make the focus of your business here being more corporate, and that kind of get kind of sticky, and it could get kind of crazy for you. But without having to fully like split yourself apart, it can just be like, okay, I'm going to focus my message to the clients that are most likely to find me here.
Yes.
And that can be that can be a way to kind of split it up as well. So we have some other questions that we didn't get to tonight. I don't know if we'll do these in January. I'll save them. I'll share them with John. And if he wants to run on it, he can. I'm glad we didn't get to the last one because I'll be honest, I had no idea for the New Year's Eve. That for those of you that are wondering, I asked the guys what was their track right before Along sang, and what would be their song right afterwards.
Before would be Raise Your Glass.
Oh,
That's a
you
good
have one
one.
for right
Like
after.
that.
Chorus, and out into All Anxiety.
Okay.
Then I
You
have a
have a song for
Mariah.
Out?
I have a Mariah Carey version of All Anxiety, which is a little bit faster beats per minute.
Okay.
And then I'd be Don't Stop the Party by Pitbull.
It's a good one.
There we go. We hit that song. We hit that question. We didn't even think we were gonna hit it. There you go. Just do what Cubbie did. Um, I will say the version of All Lang Syne that I have, I I avoid New Year's Eve like the plague. I really do. Um, but I have one that I had, and I'll have to dig it out. If somebody ever wants to know what it is, just message me, and I'll try and figure out what it was. But it's like almost like Dropkick Murphy type of. It may even be them.
Cool. Cool.
Dropkick Murphy like style. Like it's really like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is the way to do. None of this like sappy stuff. Yeah, get your kiss out of the way, then let's headbang. Let's go. Um,
Awesome.
oh my goodness. All right, so here's the thing. Couple things real quick. One, make sure you're checking out our sponsors. Without them, this really becomes a labor of love, and unfortunately doesn't cover the bills. So we need to make sure that they're getting lots of love. So at some point, check them out. They're in the description. We cannot say enough for the fine people at all of them. They really are, and not just because they're supporting the show, but when we look at the quality of our sponsors, you know, I the, I can't speak anything negative of them. Not because I wouldn't, because there is nothing, right?
Oh,
Um, that might be a little high and mighty of some of them, but um, I really believe that we've got some of the best sponsors that are out there. Um, next thing, and I mentioned this in the very beginning of the show, and I'm going to drop it again in the chat, youtube.com/@DJNTV shows. That is the site that you want to go to after we're all said and done, and subscribe. In the new year, shows like tonight's are going to be over there. So that is where you're going to want to make sure that you're going. And if you're not subscribed and hit the ding, the bell, the whole 9 yards, you're going to be missing out. So the long form shows, they're going to be over there. The quick short stuff, gear reviews, all that other kind of stuff is going to be over on Disc Jockey News, the show you're currently watching on if you're on YouTube. And after that, thank you to Robin for just dropping it in the chat. Hanging with Howie the Elf is going to be happening right after this, 10 o'clock at djntv.com/chill. First 20 minutes, they're talking. Then after that, then the cameras will go, or not the cameras, the recording will go off, and they'll be just hanging out, having conversations like Cubbie, Art, and myself did tonight. So head on over there, check that out, have some fun. There's some other shows coming up this week. I forgot to bring up the email, so I apologize for that. But go check out the email yesterday from John so you know what's going to happen when. And then next week, I know we're not doing Monday. I don't know about the other stuff. So just keep your eye out, keep your ear out of what's going to happen when, so you know what to expect. But yeah, that's what I got coming. Cubbie, Art, thank you very much for taking some time to join us. We took Art away from the Philadelphia Eagles, which I think was
All
a good
right.
idea, but he still wanted to watch it, and he's going to check it out in a moment here. So it's all good. I do appreciate you both for everything you do. As we wrap out 2023, I love our relationships. I love our friendships that we have, and I'm very I teach math, so I can't think of the word, but I very, very much appreciative of that. So thank you very much for what we have. Everybody else, you have yourself a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. And if you don't celebrate Christmas,